This is Intimacy Architecture Radio with your host, Christy Ann Bella. Brought to you by Intimacy Architecture, www.intimacyarchitect.com. Hello, everyone. This is Christy Ann Bella with the Sexual Inclusion Network. I'm Christy Ann Bella, and this show is going to be about sex and psychedelics. We're right. And then the first time you had any kind of like sexy thing happen on psychedelics.
Well, I mean, this isn't for kids, right? So this is just a...
Right. No, this isn't adults. If you have children in the room... I mean, the title alone should have gave it away, Sexual Inclusion Network. So, yeah, go ahead.
So the first time, I wasn't what I am today, right? So I wouldn't have approached it in the same way. But again, it was a mushroom trip, and it was at a festival where wonderful things were happening, and it was in the midst of my just mind-blowing awakening. And it was the first like psychic sex that I had ever experienced, where you were truly mind melded, and it was the information that I was getting through my mind that was telling my body what to do, and the communication. That was really the bridge that showed me how psychedelics
Go ahead.
can accentuate sexuality, and that sexuality could accentuate spirituality.
So have you ever guided someone through an intentional healing ceremony with psychedelics?
Besides yourself.
Besides myself.
I don't tend to work with the two as one, right? They are fully connected and fully integrated, but not necessarily in time and space, even though you and I that was a very unique healing. Yeah. But the key to it all is that you don't intentionally try to do that.
Interesting. Okay.
Right? Like, especially when the actual sexual healing is happening, it just happens. It's almost like a trance state that comes over that allows both the recipient of the healing and the one that's performing the giving aspect to just flow in a harmonious space. It's not a thought space. So you couldn't,
True, but I mean, I often set intentions. Like if I'm going to do psychedelics, I set like an intention.
So what was tell me what your intention would sound like.
My intention for sexual healing?
Well, I mean, if you were to set one, what words would you say?
Let's see. I've asked, I guess I asked for all the things that, this opening of my heart, this peace within my body, to go in and to be able to witness my sexuality as a part of like a whole, as a part of extension of love, and just to feel more integrated in my body through that process, and to heal any disconnect or wound or any unhealthy stories I have.
Okay. So like an intention that I would set is that I just want to be open. Like that would be my intention. Right. I don't believe in guiding what my healing is supposed to look like.
Okay. Because I do this in my teachings, and obviously psychedelics don't really come into play in my work, but holding space and being like, okay, whatever is going to come up for them, like, there's a container for that. But I think I lay out a blueprint that, or like the GPS trip that's like you could take a detour. I guess I don't know if that's just like the control in me that I'm like, I want there to be like, I want to go over here. And the spirits are like, okay. And like, and they maybe are like, we're going to zag. And then like, I get over there. It's in a way I couldn't have even imagined. But I still feel like I need to like, be like, hey, that's...
I believe that the big thing psychedelics are trying to teach us is to surrender. At least that's okay. We'll go personally, right?
Yeah.
The lesson that I was being taught, that if I want to feel what it is to be human, to feel the energy of the cosmos flow through this unique algorithm, which is me, in the most opportune and ecstatic way, leave it the fuck alone. Surrender, surrender. Right? And I mean, you and I have known each other for years. We've watched each other, right? So you know I'm not full of shit.
Right.
This is what I really flow. And it's for everything. And definitely includes the psychedelic journeys and the sexuality. But like, especially because it's like getting onto a spaceship for the first time and being like, I'm gonna drive. It's like, there's captains of the ships, there's engineers. You're like, no. Right? Have a little bit of faith. Have a little bit of trust. You know, you'll get things that you didn't know you wanted that turn out to be 1,000,000 times more valuable than the things you think you did want.
That is true in many areas of life. That is true.
And it's not an all or nothing, right? We all have our shade of how much we give flow and how much we stand firm, right? So for you, it's just a little less flow, a little more flow, a little less firm, and you can just do it with your psychedelic journeys, you know? Be like, all right, I trust my guides. What do you want to show me? And be like, oh, that's cool. Okay. Didn't like that one as much. Right? But okay, so like from the shamanic perspective, when someone makes covenant with their gods, right? It's like you make a deal, like, all right, you and I are on the same team. I'm going to pay attention to you. I'm going to zone in with you. You're going to get your access to this realm through me. Like, we're a team, right? It's a lot of flow. Yeah. It's a lot of letting the higher dimensional perspective guide your interdimensional actions. Because the desires we have are based in this dimension.
Right.
They're solved in this dimension, but they're not taking into account what's going on. You know, and if you want to surrender to the higher...
Then,
When you were talking about ecstasy, I have found that it is one of the most soul-healing sacraments. And yes, like, we all have our sensitivities, and ones we like and ones we don't like and whatnot. But just in working with people, you find that they begin to love themselves in a way that they didn't before. Yeah. Like, and it sticks. It stays around after. I mean, you still chase the feeling of it, right? You do it again, but you remember that you had the feeling. Yeah. And if you can let yourself remember that the feeling was real.
Ooh, yes, right. I think that's a very big point, because I've had conversations with people who are like, oh, but I was just on drugs, you know, and it's like, but you're still you, and you saw that, you know, it's like you saw that is in it. There's a time and a place where that's in existence, so therefore it exists, like it exists, and you can always like
hold on to the knowing of that. That's
really good.
Yeah. You know, letting the peak of your awareness set the boundary of what the reality is. You're not always able to perceive it, but that doesn't mean it's not there. And you can know that it's there and act as if it's there, right? So if you see yourself as the most awesome you've ever seen, hold on to that shit. Don't forget it, right? And find a way to anchor it. Because you will forget it, right? It's just like a dream. You will forget, right? So, like, I mean, one of the best ways to use these sacraments, because I don't really consider Molly or ecstasy a psychedelic. Okay. But I consider it one of the sacraments. Right. I decided I would make my own categories.
Okay.
Because their categories are like foo-foo madness. Right? If it gives you pictures, it's a different drug. If it makes you happy, it's a different drug.
Well, I think anything is a sacrament. Anything that you're taking with like reverence for whatever that item, whether it's something you're drinking or, if you're taking this moment to like have this sacred moment with it, to like, then it is a sacrament. It is like sacred. But there, yes, there's definitely a different experience on like Molly versus DMT versus mushrooms. But yes, go ahead.
Where was I? We're talking about the soul healing
Yes.
aspect of Molly.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever done Molly by yourself?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the thing, right? So when you have these experiences on the drug, right? And then later when you're perfectly sober and you decide, I'm going to meditate today, let your meditation be pulling the feeling you had back into your awareness. That's it. That's your entire meditation.
Creating the anchor.
Right.
Yeah. I try to write. I try to write like immediately after. I've even written like during trips. It's sometimes sloppy, but mostly makes sense still. Like of these these anchor moments, these moments of like that's right. I want to remember to like see and feel. And, I know where that is now. It's just like anything else. Like if you've driven someplace a lot, you're like, oh, I know how to get there. And
right.
and we create happiness and healing in a lot of ways when we're like, okay, this, but it's also, challenging because obviously we create the same like sensory memory things with like sad memories. So
one of my adages, one of the things I like to say is that what we give our attention to grows. Mm-hmm. So one of the ways that these sacraments, psychedelics, Molly, affect us is that it gives us hours to attend to this thing, to attend to this spectacular, right? And just by us giving our attention to the experience, we're growing that experience into our existence.
I love that. The attend, when you're attending to something.
Fridays, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Like, share, and subscribe. Intimacy Architecture. Build a life you love.